Thanks for tuning in, guys, to the Pest and Lawn Ginja, and this is What's Wrong With My Lawn? What's Wrong With My Lawn is a lawn series where I go out and diagnose lawns, then give you the solutions on how to repair. We're going to follow my 5-step diagnostic plan at looking at color, pattern, water saturation, a debris test, and a pull test to give us our final answer on how to fix this lawn. Guys, step 1 is the walkthrough on the lawn. We're looking for patterns that are either uniform or random. Now in this instance, in the front yard, we've got problems everywhere, and you might say, okay, that's a uniform problem, but they are randomized because the problem isn't the same. Now on the outer edges of both sides of the front lawn, we have something different than on the inside of the lawn. Random lawn problems can be difficult to diagnose. The fact of the matter is we have to go to every single area and give it my 5-step approach. Now this is definitely one of the more difficult lawn problems that I encounter because we've got one specific color and pattern here, and then the rest of all of this is kind of a hazy pattern. And then we've got some weird lines that are kind of happening throughout here, but I'm pretty sure that we can just call that mow lines, and we'll kind of get into that more as we go. And then we have this, and we have this trail that goes from here and then literally goes all the way down. It's it's almost like a dog runner, except for we don't really have dogs around in people's front yards. So this is that runner I was telling you about. That is so crazy. What is this? It's so perfectly woven too. And when we get on top of it, and this is really what you got to do, is look at it. Oh my goodness, check this out. You can literally see right here. See how my hand's sinking? Any hunter out here knows exactly what this is. Look at this one, perfect. Bingo! Those are deer. Those are deer, son. Those aren't even John Deeres. Those are just deers. This is the craziest thing. If I were a betting man, looks like we had a whole pack of deer coming through here, which isn't shocking since we're up here in the mountains. Now overall, when I'm looking at the grass blades, they appear to be brown, or the tissue is just completely dead. This could be from one of two things. It can either be from lack of water, or we've had the grass die out from last season, and over the winter it's just been decaying. It could be that these mow clippings weren't mowed properly and the grass just lied down and died and did not decompose. Once the tissue dies, we aren't going to be able to revive it and make it green again, which means all of this is going to need to be removed. Now, when we get into the tissue itself, some of it is gray, which typically means that last year it died and it's just been sitting here for a long time. Now, the Ginja's been slaying lawns for about 20 years now, and I've got some exciting news for you guys. I'm creating a space called the Lawn Masters Academy to help you at home be able to slay that lawn. The Lawn Masters Academy is designed to put a method to the madness of diagnosing your lawn. Whether you're a beginner lawn care person or an expert, there's something for you. I'm hoping to have the Academy up and launched in the next 30 days. If you want to get on the wait list, go to lawnmastersacademy.com and put in your email address. Now, this is what I'm talking about when we talk about not mowing properly. It means the plugger was either in the mower and they were attempting to mulch, or the bag was full and it was just kind of spilling out. Now this kind of material at our altitude, which I'm at about a mile high, just under a mile high where we're at, we don't have the same decomposition that you're gonna get at sea level. So this grass cannot be left this way. I'm just kind of walking along and I'm looking for very specific patterns in the lawn. We know the color is brown, it's associated with dead tissue and lack of water. But then we get to these strange patterns, and you kind of have to look closely, but we have a ring here, and it's a little bit early on. And then when we follow it over here, this one, you can kind of see it a little bit heavier. It's this big ring spot. Found another ring spot right there. And this is where it gets very, very apparent with what we're dealing with, is along this tree. And at first it just looks like blobby patches, right? But when you start looking at the patterns and we get on top of it, we have a ring right there. And if you look at these, they all look like little horseshoes, all connected, every single one of them. Now these ring spots are commonly associated with a nasty disease called necrotic ring spot. Necrotic ring spot, we know causation is overstimulation with fertilizers such as urea, and it's spreadable through lawn aeration. And these neighborhoods I'm in are notorious for doing lawn aeration because we have so much clay in our soil that gets compacted over the wintertime. Now, necrotic ring spot demonstrates itself through the grass blades, but it is not the disease in the grass. It's a soil-borne disease. So no matter if we just scrape all the dirt out or not, if proper care measures aren't taken, it's gonna come back. Next step is our water saturation test. Now my favorite tool to use is an AMS soil probe. The soil probe is going to show me a couple of things. Number one, it's going to show me the type of soil that we're dealing with. And number two, it's going to show me how much water saturation we have into the soil. And number three, it's going to show us the thatch layer of the grass. Now when the thatch layer gets out of hand, we've got a separate problem that we have to deal with. There's not a lot of clay in here, which means that the previous owner had brought in a ton of topsoil. Root density actually seems to be pretty okay. No real thatch problem. Pretty happy with this. Now most of the lawn I'm only pulling 1-inch plugs, and you can see it's dry, it's bone dry. And it's the grass itself is 70 to 80% water, just like our bodies. So without water, we don't have grass. Ideally, we want 6 to 8 inches of water saturation into the soil, which means they're going to need to be watering daily for about 45-50 minutes until we get that caught back up to 6 inches. Now, depending on the lawn, depending on the sprinkler heads, will determine how long they have to do this kind of watering regimen for. Next up on our list is a pull test. With the pull test, we want to get our bear claws out, and we really want to pull on big chunks of lawn, and we're doing this to see if we have turf insect problems and or fungal problems that were irreparable. If you want to be on top of this as a preventive care, just do this every single time you mow. Makes it very simple. In this instance, we are negative for turf insects, and for now, the grass roots seem pretty strong. Now our final step in the process is really to do a thatch test or a debris test to check out to see if my inclinations are right about all this brown. It's just dead matter suffocating. Now the interesting part about Kentucky bluegrass is it will literally creep and crawl through the lawn and form new blades of grass, but it can't do that when it's get choked out. And for those of you guys who have rye or fescue or a non-creeping grass, it will actually kill out that bunch of grass that you have. And then after you remove it, you got to reseed everything to get everything localized again. But it would be pointless to put a thatch rake on this. So I actually brought my outlet dethatcher just to show you how bad this debris is. He gets an F+. There is just so much stuff going on here. 4 passes in what? 10, 12 linear feet? And all of that, and it still needs more. It's insane. This whole lawn is just like this. So here's where we're at. And now you can actually see soil. That's amazing, yay. It's like Fruit Stripes gum. It's amazing. Then we go back over here. Nothing, just straight up dead matter. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know why he's complaining about his lawn. I don't even see any grass, do you? Now doing the walkthrough through the backyard, it's a lot more of what we were doing in the front yard on steroids. You start noticing that we've got the same ring spots, but this is what happens leaving the necrotic ring spot unchecked for like 15 years. It completely isolates in the soil and becomes a nightmare. Even if you planted, let's say that you scrape the entire top of this off, this disease is going to demonstrate itself again within a couple of years, even if you replace the top layers of the soil. It is a nasty, nasty disease. Now let's look at this little section right here. Why is it growing? Well, if we get in here, we've got a bunch of fine fescue. Having a different species of grass in here is going to be the best case because you can see it's doing well. The bluegrass, not doing well at all. And that's why our focus isn't necessarily to manage necrotic ring spot on this property because it's everywhere. This is pretty crazy. We come over here, all of this is necrotic ring spot. You come on top of it and again, bam, all the rings have just kind of blobbed together. Reminds me of Pizza the Hut. Comment below if you remember Pizza the Hut. This is the funniest movie ever. Hint, hint, it's a movie for all you youngins out there. At first I thought that, yeah, probably bouts of snow mold with the matted grass. This has nothing to do with snow mold. Now when it came to water saturation, debris test, everything else, all my steps were exactly the same as in the front, other than just the regular brown haze, because there really wasn't any differences other than the fact that this necrotic ring spot's been in the backyard for a very, very long time. Now with that disease, we've got to make one of two choices. Kentucky bluegrass is the most susceptible to that lawn disease. My suggestion to him is, it is so bad through the entire lawn, I think we might as well just start introducing ryegrass, and that way we don't have to worry about spending $1 billion on fungicides. Now to manage this disease, we also want to remove all the dead around the rings. You've got to get all that out. And then on top of that, we're gonna need to scrape the top lightly and then reseed and then put a light layer of topsoil or peat moss on top to hold it in. We're gonna need about 10 pounds per 1,000 square feet to mask it in the backyard and about 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet to mask it in the front yard. We have way too much thatch throughout the entire lawn. Combination of a couple of things. The lawn wasn't being mowed properly. We had a really, really long fall, winter that was wet, ground temperatures were low. A lot of this stuff died out. This grass is not going to thicken up if we don't remove the dead debris that we showed you. So step number one is going to be dethatch the lawn. Now my favorite dethatcher is a Sun Joe dethatcher and scarifier. It does a fantastic job. You don't have to spend $1 billion to get this done. If you were to hire this out for this size lawn, it would probably be a $700 to $900 job. So spending 180 bucks on a Sun Joe, it's kind of a no-brainer. It just takes a long time to do the job. Luckily for us here, we've got the Toro Vortex with the Smart Stow. I don't even know what they're stowing, but it must be smart. But before you dethatch, ideally we want to get the grass below 2 inches. So I like to get it to 1 inch. It's gonna scalp a little bit, we're gonna lose color, but hey, it already looks like this anyway. So once we get all the garbage off and the seed can actually get to the soil, we need seed to soil contact to get the seed to germinate. So we're gonna have it mow first, then we're gonna dethatch. Then after that, the Scarifier in here, which is the solid, it almost looks like a tiller without the wings. And then we're gonna go over this 3 ways. And what we're doing is we're cutting grooves in here, just like a slit slice seeder, so the seed will drop into those holes. Considering he's got so much surface area that's actually dead, we're gonna wanna put a small layer of either garden topsoil or some peat moss over the top of it, just to hold the water in. It also helps keep the birds out too if they can't visibly see all the grass seed that we're putting down. Now when it comes to watering, the only thing that we're gonna wanna do, spring seeding can be extremely difficult. I find with ryegrass, it's gonna be the best choice for this lawn because number one, it matches really, really well with Kentucky bluegrass. Number two, it germinates, the seed germinates in 5 days. It is fast. These areas will start thickening up and filling in within 30 days. It's a lifesaver. So considering the time of the year that we're at, it's been a hot, cold spring, which is really weird to say. But we just have to keep it damp, just have to keep it wet. So I'm thinking about 5 times a day, he's gonna be watering 5 minutes per station if the temps stay at the current 50 to 65 degrees. If we start bumping up into the 90s, he's gonna need to be watering 7 times a day, 7 minutes on average with the heads that he has, because they're not low flow heads. just to keep it wet. But the only thing that he's really gonna have to do is just come out here randomly about every 2 to 3 hours and visibly look at the peat moss. If it's starting to look dry, he's just got to add more time. And I know a lot of you guys out there think, okay, I'll just send in a tidal wave of water, but the problem is the seed washes out and you can't do that. And some of you guys have sand in this and the water is just going to go straight through. It's not going to hold anyway. So the best course of action is to water several times during the day. As far as treatments on the lawn go, the front yard needs fertilizer. I do a 10-0-10 or equivalent at 5 to 10 pounds per 1,000 square feet. I'd also consider a fungicide at the bag rates for necrotic ring spot. Now my fungicide of choice, like I said before, is going to be Headway G because it's a two-way fungicide. This will help out with the existing necrotic ring spot and also help out with the overwatering disease like melting out and leaf spot throughout our seeding project. Well guys, this is the poop show, but I think we can get this lawn back. But that is the diagnosis and the repair. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, hit me up in the comments down below. You know I'd love to help you guys out. Next time, guys, is the Pest and Lawn Ginja. We're slaying lawns.